Hey everyone, it's Casey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm sure everyone's going to say this in the beginning of their videos, but I cannot believe that the year is almost halfway over. That's insane to me. So yeah, let's just get right on into the tag. So far in 2018, I've read 20 books, so that's, I don't think it's as good as I was doing last year. Last year I read 70 books in all, so at the halfway point I probably had 35. But I'm happy with, with my progress. In the beginning of the year, like, basically January and February, I didn't read hardly any at all, like maybe one book a month. So I think 20 books is pretty good for me, so I'm happy with that. Question number 1 is, what's the best book that you've read so far in 2018? For me, I have 2, and these are actually the only 2 books I've given 5 stars to in 2018, so I thought I'd mention them both. The first one is This Is Me by Chrissy Metz. Chrissy Metz is on the show This Is Us on NBC, and this is her memoir / self-help book. This was like one of my most anticipated reads. It came out in March and I like pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered a signed copy and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really inspirational and I liked hearing her story. And I liked in between the main chapters are these little sections of a couple pages that are more like the self-helpy stuff, and I really enjoyed those as well. So I would definitely recommend this, especially if you watch This Is Us. And then the second book that was my best book was This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills. I just actually finished this week. I have a whole video on it. If it's up, I'll link it down below. But this is a YA contemporary about a girl named Sloane who moves to a new town and meets like a circle of friends. And I loved this book. I laughed out loud. I had just such a great time reading it. I loved all the characters. I just enjoyed reading this book so much. So I would definitely recommend this one too. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read in 2018. I've actually read one sequel, so I guess I'll list it. It is Sisterhood Everlasting. I listened to the audiobook of it. And this is the 5th book of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants books by Anne Brashers. And this one takes place when they're like in their, I think like early 30s. Like it takes place when they're adults, and I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I can't really remember. I thought it was like a good wrap up to the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants books. I especially liked revisiting because I read the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants when I was a teenager, so when I was like their age, and then now I read this one when I was again their age as an adult. So it was interesting being able to relate to them like as an adult. I enjoyed it. I think if you've read The Sister of the Traveling Pants, definitely check this book out. But if you haven't, obviously don't start with the 5th book. Question number 3 is new release that you want to read but haven't yet. So this for me would be The Kiss Quotient. This book just came out like a week ago and I am dying to read it. It is a romance book about a woman who is on the autism spectrum, and I think does like some sort of math. Like I think her job is mathematical. Not that it matters, but anyway, and I don't think she has a lot of experience with relationships and like sexual experiences, so she orders, I guess, or she whatever, she gets like a male escort to kind of help train her. I don't know like how to phrase this all. She orders a male escort, and then I think that as he's teaching her like sexually, I think they probably like fall in love because it's a romance book. But anyway, like, everyone that's read it has given it 5 stars. They say it's such a great book. I'm kind of waiting a little bit. I'm trying not to spend, like, so much money on books, but I think it'll be probably one of the next books that I purchase. Number 4 is most anticipated book release for the last half of 2018. So I don't really anticipate book releases unless it's a favorite author. And, like, it has to be, like, my all-time, like Sarah Dessen, Morgan Matson, like those type of people. But, so I'm going to cheat a little bit because this book just came out this last week. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that it is Save the Date by Morgan Matson. I've read all of Morgan Matson's books. I love them. They are like quintessential YA contemporaries. This one follows a girl, I believe her name is Charlie, and her sister or brother, someone's getting married, and I think that there's going to be like a lot of like chaos involving the wedding, and I'm sure that there's a love interest. And people are, well, not people, the publisher is saying that it's a mix between Father of the Bride and 16 Candles. So it sounds good. I'm really excited for it. And I have been anticipating this for a long time. This is another one that I pre-ordered, and I don't really normally pre-order books, so I'm super excited to read this one. Number 5 is Biggest Disappointment. This would have to be the Sarah book by Scott McClanahan. I listened to this on the audiobook, and Scott McClanahan actually narrates it. And I had heard, like, all of the reviews on it say how good it is, how good the writing is, that it is, like, an interesting, like, heartbreaking story. So this follows a guy whose name is Scott McClanahan, and it's about, he's going through a divorce and his wife/ex-wife's name is Sarah. And so it's all about their divorce, about their kid, just the breakup of their relationship. So, I didn't like this as much as I thought. It has like a very interesting writing style in the sense that it's very repetitive. I can't obviously remember exact examples now because I read this like maybe like in February or March, or listened to it. And but it was like a lot of repetition. So it'd be like Scott went and got a snow cone, and Sarah went and got a snow cone, and Mindy went and got a snow cone, and it would like list all these things, and he did that throughout the book. And I understand that that is like a writing choice he made. It's just not the choice for me. This honestly is it. I think this honestly, if books could be hipster, this would be like a hipster book. I guess it's almost like highbrow, and I guess I'm just not highbrow enough to appreciate it. I didn't like it. Yeah, I would not recommend it. Number 5 is Biggest Surprise. For me, this would definitely have to be A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. So, I knew that I was going to like this. You know, everyone that's ever read it says how funny it is, and it's a heartfelt, you know, feel-good book, and my mom's been trying to make me read it for 2 years, and finally I did. And I guess I was most surprised by this was that it was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be, and it was a lot more emotional than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but there is a pretty dark thread that runs throughout this book that I had no idea about. I mean, obviously I don't read spoilers for books, but like, I guess when I hear like a book is a feel-good book, I don't anticipate it to have such a dark thread that runs throughout the whole thing. But so that was really surprising, but I ended up loving this book. It does have like a feel-good ending. But yeah, this book really surprised me. Number 7 is Favorite New Author. This can be a debut author or a new to you author. So I chose Emma Mills, who wrote This Adventure Ends. This was my first Emma Mills book, and I definitely am going to go back and read her other ones. She has 2 other ones, I think, Foolish Hearts and First and Then. So I've heard Books and Lala. She read First and Then a few months ago, and she really liked it. I think she gave it 5 stars and said it was like her favorite romance, like YA romance. But I haven't heard anyone that's read Foolish Hearts. So I think that I'm going to read First and Then First, and then if I still like Emma Mills, I'll read Foolish Hearts. But I hope that it lives up to all the gloriness of This Adventure Ends. Number 8 is newest fictional crush. So I don't really get fictional crushes because I'm a grown woman who, you know, can separate books from reality. But I guess if I had to pick someone from this, I would pick Joshua Templeman from The Hating Game. I read that just a couple weeks ago, and I liked him enough. I guess he would be my crush. He's like super fit and athletic and really tall. He's very like gruff on the outside, but has like the, you know, tender heart. He's all gooey inside. So yeah, I guess I would pick him if I had to. Number 9 is newest favorite character. So I would have to pick 2 characters, but they're from the same book. Jamie Watson and Sherlock Holmes from A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. This is a Sherlock Holmes retelling about their like great grandchild. So it's Sherlock Holmes and then Jamie Watson, and so they meet in a boarding school in New England, and there's a mystery, and they come together, and there's a little bit of a romance, but mainly it's a friendship. I really like these 2 characters. I do plan, this is a trilogy, so I do plan on reading the other ones. I actually have The Last of August is that's the second one, so I need to read that one soon. But I really enjoyed this, and I enjoyed the characters. So Charlotte Holmes is very just a straight shooter, does not pull any punches, and Jamie Watson, I mean, I guess it's kind of how you imagine like Sherlock Holmes and whatever Watson. I don't know what Watson's first name is. It might be John or Steve. I don't know. But anyway, it's like how you imagine them to be. So I really enjoyed their characters. I think they're like go good together. So number 10 is a book that made you cry. And I'm pretty sure this is the only book that I cried reading this year. But it is A Man Called Ova. And yeah, it's like I said before, it has that dark thread running through it, and it did make me cry a little bit, but it just gave me all the feels. If you've ever seen Up, it kind of reminds me of the old guy in the movie Up, so I did cry for it. Number 11 is a book that made you happy, and so I don't want to keep mentioning this book, but This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills. I'm gonna mention it for this because I actually laughed out loud when I read this, and I don't do that. Like, I don't laugh out loud when I'm watching, you know, TV or reading books. I don't do it that often, and I did this, like, I laughed out loud so many times during this book, and just generally, like, had a smile on my face when I was reading it, because that's how enjoyable it was. So this book definitely made me happiest this year. Number 12 is The Most Beautiful Book that you bought this year. And I actually have 3, and you can see I took them all from the same section, which is kind of funny. But first is The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. I actually didn't really like this book. I only gave it 3 stars. Yeah, I didn't particularly enjoy it. But it does have like a cool like naked cover and everything. And the actual cover is like hologram. I don't know if I can make it do it. But anyway, I'll probably end up giving this to my sister eventually whenever she's reading the Mortal Instruments right now. So whenever she gets done with that, I'll give her this one because I do think she would like it. It's about like, essentially like, it's almost like a Salem witch trial-y book. I don't know. The second book is Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. This is the Book of the Month edition, and I actually got Book of the Month just for 1 month because I wasn't super impressed with it. But I got it specifically because I wanted this edition. I've only read one other Jon Krakauer, and it was Into the Wild, and I hate that book. It is like one of my most hated books. But this one is about the Mount Everest disaster, and so I'm going to read it, and hopefully I like it so I can keep the cover, because I think it's so gorgeous. And then lastly, this is kind of a weird choice, but I really do like the cover. It's I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This is about the Golden State Killer, which is why I think it's weird. But I really do like the cover, and it's kind of, this is like silver, I don't know. It's silver and then the yellow and everything. I just think it's a really nice cover. So I'll never like look at it because it scares me. But this is a good book. I did a whole book talk on this book, so I'll leave a link down below. Number 13 is a book that you need to read. So I'm going to give the lamest answer possible to this and say all of the books I own I need to read. If you're new to my channel, then you don't know this, but I am trying to read all the books I own before I buy any new books. And I'm not perfect at it. Like, I give myself like 1 or 2 books a month to buy, or like go to the library. But yeah, I'm really trying to get down my TBR. I still need to read Beartown, Wonder Woman, When Diplomat Rishi. Like, those are some that are kind of like at the top of my list. I really want to get to all 3 of those pretty soon. And number 14 is your favorites BookTube community member. So I'm gonna go with Jess from Peace Love Books. I really like her channel because she, like 90% of the time, reads romances, which I think is a kind of loved category here on BookTube, and that's a genre that I really like. And so I like that she just reads stuff different. You know, so many YouTubers here on BookTube read like YA fantasy, and while that's perfectly fine, I still watch their videos and everything. I don't read those books, so I like that Jess reads books that I actually read, and so I get a lot of recommendations from her. So I love her channel. I'll leave it linked down below. Thank you for watching my mid-year book freakout tag. If you did one of these below, link it below because I'd love to check it out. These are one of my favorite tags to watch. So please subscribe and have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.